Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Nikki Fynn. Welcome to my webinar about capacity building and grant writing for nonprofits, or even grant readiness for nonprofits. I do both, and we'll get into all of that in just a second. I am CEO of Growth Up Education Services. I am based in North Carolina, and I am so thrilled that you're here with me today because that means you've done the brave work of reaching out, trying to find information, asking for help to build your capacity in your nonprofit. That is brave work. So, the mission that I have is that I help nonprofit leaders translate their space or square footage into service and their ideas into impact so they can be financially resilient. Here's the kicker, without burnout. Yes, it is possible. I have 22 years of grant writing, consulting, and nonprofit support experience. I have a doctorate in education leadership, and I specialize in relational education building. What does that mean? I basically specialize in people, relationships, and the personal, professional development, staff development, trainings, all of that kind of goes into this line of work. I offer online and on-site services, and I also have a certification in expressive arts with 5 years of restorative writing experience. And why is that important? Because this is how I'm different than other grant writers and grant readiness nonprofit capacity builders, is that I help people get grant ready, get clear, and that entails a lot of times uh, doing some writing practices that can give us some clarity and help us fulfill our purpose. So we'll get into that in a little bit. I also have a master's in public health. I'm a self-published author. I love writing. I'm very well versed in the grant world and nonprofit capacity building. So let's get into it. I already mentioned that I'm North Carolina based. So let's dive right into the next slide. Self-check. So I'm not sure why you're here, but here's a few questions because this is what I see a lot in nonprofit leaders, and this is what I can help with. So let's run through these questions and see if either or any or all of them resonate with you. Do you find yourself just wanting grant funders to save your nonprofit? And are you taking action to appeal to funders? Think about that. Are you just trying to be rescued? Basically, is what I'm asking. Does your mission feel like 12 people who never met wrote it? Maybe this person had a good sentence, this person had a good sentence, you like the word of this person's sentence, you threw them all together, but you're not really sure what that means in terms of priorities, task, strategy, and funding. Are you stuck writing grants last minute just to copy and paste last year's application or previous application that you submitted to another organization? Just copy and paste your friend when it comes to grant writing. Are you busy doing all of the things and waiting to scramble to meet budget or find extra funding and just streamlining your funding focus? So think about that, see what resonates with you, and if you have others, I would love to hear from you when you book a consult with me. So let's get honest. Being grant ready doesn't mean you just have a good heart, you have a 501(c)(3), you've done all that paperwork. It also means that you're ready to receive the funding. Now, being able to receive, you're like, yes, I'm desperate. My doors are open. I know I'm doing good things and I'm ready to receive. Like, here I am asking for help. That's not enough. And that's not all that's involved in receiving. So, you need a clear and compelling mission statement. You need to make people care why your doors should be open. You need a focused program model, initiative that is aligned with what funders want to see. There comes also that strategic approach to funding. You're not just trying to grapple and get money wherever it comes from. You want to make sure that it matches your needs and your organization's mission. There again, you also have systems. in place to deliver and track your report or your impact. So that means grant reporting, and I'm in the midst of a bunch of grant reporting nowadays with tracking impact, putting in numbers, data, stories, testimonials, completing surveys. Some of them are really quick, some of them require a little bit more data. Some funders want to see just quarterly reports. Some funders want to see reports just twice a year. It just depends on the funder, but still you have to have systems in place to make sure you're recording and staying in good relationship with your funder. Also, your community members and leaders and people in your organization need to be doing work that is valuable and that grant funders can easily see is creating value in your local community. I can help leaders who lack clarity, who reactively grant write, who are doing it all alone, and who do not know how to turn that square footage into service. So let's go into these a little bit more. If you lack clarity, you might just be in that paragraph long mission statement and you're not really sure what the focus is. Everything sounds good and you're just trying to fit where the grant funds are, but that might not be really you. So you're really just kind of scrambling, doing all the things. And maybe that leads you to reactively grant write. So you're up at 2 a.m. You noticed last week that there was a grant deadline. Here it is, deadline day, and you want to get the grant in by 9 a.m. in the morning. You don't really know what to write. You're copy and pasting, and you just really, maybe you're taking your mission statement and just pasting it in to the grant application, or maybe you're writing for the same program, but you're not using more fresh language. And you're doing it all alone. You're just there, maybe you have your cup of coffee, maybe you're strung out already and maxed out your capacity, and you're up at 2 a.m. just trying to scramble to meet that grant deadline. You're doing it all by yourself. You're doing all the things. So you don't know how to turn your square footage into service. What do I mean by that? It means that that space that you have, whether it's leased, rented, owned, if it's a church, if it's a nonprofit, if it's an after school program, if it's a school, you don't know how to maximize that square footage to make funders see that you are providing a service. So you need to make sure that if you are doing after school programs, that you're maybe doing tutoring, you're maybe providing some after school care. Maybe your community doesn't offer a lot of after school care. So you're really trying to work hard and making sure that your building, your organization serves in a capacity or in a way that your community needs. So then that way it really kind of speaks to that impact part of grant writing and securing the funding. So I have a couple of packages and quite a few a la carte or standalone services for one-off projects that I offer. Usually my packages are monthly retainers. It provides ongoing grant strategy support, and we tailor it because customizable to organizations. Because one thing I know about nonprofits is that no nonprofit necessarily is the same. Maybe generally speaking, but they're all comprised of different people, different ways people serve, different missions, different values in some way or the other. So, I really look at customizing grant readiness plans, looking at funder alignment, maybe it's grant research that people need. But in essence, a lot of times, small and mid-sized nonprofits need somebody to do a little hand holding with them. And therefore, I offer 24/7 support. And that's where the monthly retainer comes in. People call me up and or email me, and within 24-hour period, I'm trying to do my best to respond and take action and see what help is needed. But one-off projects like mission statement clarity, that's where my expressive arts, restorative writing comes in at. I can do your grant audits, meaning seeing how ready you are, where you are at in positioning and aligning yourself for a grant. Consulting services, maybe it's editing for grant proposals, writing one, maybe it's doing a request for a proposal or an RFP. But I also offer referral programs that pay out money. So let's say you are a board member of an organization and or maybe you worked with a school, you're a parent and you refer me out and that nonprofit books one or two of my packages. Maybe it's either the grant readiness or the grant builder program. Either one is more on the monthly retainer support. You get a payout within 10 days of them paying me uh, for your referral. So that is also available. But essentially, what I want to make clear in all of my services that I provide leaders with direction and relief and help them feel less alone. Because believe me, you're not alone. So, growth up education services, this is what I'm really about. I'm really about clarity. I'm about impact and I'm about well-being. In the grant world, you have to be about clarity and impact. What makes me different is I also consider the not only organizational well-being, but also the leadership and staff well-being. So that's where capacity building comes in and looking at different ways that we can streamline services and strategies to help people not be burned out. So here's what a couple people have had to say. I have other testimonials, but I just wanted to give people a quick rundown about grant readiness, grant writing, and a little bit more about what I do. I'm happy to share other testimonials. So if you do book a 15-minute consult with me, you can just ask me and I'll be more than happy to send you that information. But with Little Hippo Books, I worked with Karen Doherty and it was a one-off project. It was a couple years long as we edited and I provided a lot of outlines and writing for their 20 book series on social emotional learning, which goes a lot of hand in hand with relational education. And then on the other side of the screen, you'll see a testimonial for or from Keith Brown, who is I worked at the courthouse and I worked with JCPC funding and nonprofits to get referrals up, and I got up referrals and in a timely fashion because I know how to capacity build. And when you know how to do that, well, then it kind of speeds up the process just because I've been in the world for 22 years. So there you can say I've made changes fast. So I did all this work with JCPC and the Teen Court program in under a year. And we did a lot of different changes in the program, and sometimes that's what it involves. Sometimes it's implementation. Approaches need to be a little different. So there again, I tailor what you need in the support packages and services that I provide. So I just want to say burnout is not a badge of honor. You are not alone. Can I express this enough? Because I know how in leadership and as a grant writer and working mostly on the computer and just with a whole bunch of different people, that it's easy to feel isolated and alone and burned out. So I want to invite you to stop spinning your wheels and book a 15-minute online consult with me today. It is not a sales pitch. It's a quick conversation to see if we fit, if we go together, if we can work together. I encourage you when you book your 15-minute session to have things in writing, like what you're really looking for, what you think the problem might be, how long you have been in existence, if you secured any grants, these kind of helpful information because it is a 15-minute concise consult. And there's a lot that can happen in 15 minutes. So I just want to say that. Uh, Here is my Calendly link. So you can jot that down, take a screenshot. If you have your camera, you can just plug that right in and book your session. I think I'm limited to 3 days a week now, having Calendly sessions. So book yours. You'll leave the call with clarity on your next move. Whether we're working together or not, you'll have some sort of direction, most likely, in what you need to be doing next. In the meantime, you can grab my freebie on Gumroad. It's a one pager and it has to do with 5 ways that you can become grant ready. So if you are a nonprofit, small, mid-sized nonprofit who is looking to place yourself with either a funder, certain funders, you might want to go over to Gumroad and grab it. You just enter in your email address and it'll send that right to you. So you can start kind of going over it. And maybe that's more important for you to have right now before you book a Calendly with me, a Calendly conversation with me, because it can kind of give you an idea of some strategy that I'm looking for, a little bit of a checklist when it comes to grant readiness. So, with that being said, I want to thank you again for watching this webinar, and I will be hosting a paid webinar in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that information. Other than that, have a good night, take care, and get some clarity around your work and your day, and you'll feel a lot better. Until next time, see you later.